Today, we are talking about why it is important to always be our authentic selves from a numerology, astrology, and energetic perspective. This is episode number 68 of Real Occult, where we apply numerology and astrology to the material world. Allergies have been horrible this past week, so my voice is not the best. Sinuses are all blocked up. So if my voice sounds weird or different, that is why. Let's jump right into it. So earlier in the week within my community, if you are not aware, my day job is I run a 100 plus child before school and after school program. And I have a free digital school community where we help parents with multiple kids eliminate stress using our multi-layered numerology and astrology system. So we're working with families, kids, numerology and astrology all day long, helping parents eliminate stress. And earlier in the week with some community members, they were talking about being irritated or upset because in a different community, they had spent 10-15 minutes putting together this whole big story post. And when they posted it, they ended up having it deleted. And the community owner who deleted their post sent them a message and said, "No one in my community likes to read long posts," which is, by the way, the exact opposite of my community and how we do things at realoccultschool.com/real occult. Short posts, long posts, we're open to everything. This community that one of my members was in elsewhere, they do not approve of long posts. So they were super dejected. My client member was super dejected, super upset, and was trying to vent. So within our conversation, I had to tell them that instead of being upset, irritated, angry, mad, dejected, this entire cacophony of whirling emotions, that it is perfectly okay for the community owner to delete their post and only have short posts in that community because that's their desire. That's what they're trying to create. That's how they want to run their community. With that said, there's no reason to change how you desire to post. There are some people that enjoy long, in-depth posts. They like to read. They like to have the masculine written word in print. This is exactly what they're saying. Other people, they like more short, punchy, surface level blasts of inspiration. Breathe a little bit of life into me, and that's all I require. And neither person's right or wrong. They're both simply preferences. And so from a numerology, astrology, energetic perspective, we are all supposed to be different. And when we are all different in our unique, authentic ways, we bring the world, the universe as a whole, value. And so preferences are good. People having different preferences are good. Every single person is living life in their own body with their own way of doing things. Some people are aggressive, some people are passive. Some people are optimists, some people are pessimists. We need both of them. We need the aggressive person who wants to push things forward. We need the passive person who wants to be more of a vessel for work to happen through and wants to kind of pull the reins back. We need people who are optimists. Yes, this will always work. We need the pessimists to ground things in reality. We need both. And so as an individual, we are supposed to process and express information in our own unique way. If that means you like to write really long, detailed essays, fantastic. That is a role the universe needs. If you like to synthesize a lot of other people's ideas into one nice, short, punchy line, we also absolutely need that role to be fulfilled in society. And so when we express and when we process and express this information authentically in our own way, we bring value and insights to the people with different patterns, habits, desires, thoughts, beliefs, ways of expressing information. And so from the numerology and astrology perspective, the day of our birth, the year we're born into, the universal year we're born into, what energetic cycle we're born into, how we have entered this universe, gives us insight into that role that we are meant to fulfill. Much like a bee in a beehive. Some bees are fixing the hive all day. Some bees are protecting the queen all day. Some bees are flying around pollinating flowers. They all have a specific role to fulfill. And based on our imprinted energy from our birth, with the 3 layers of karma, you have foundational karma, which is what we're talking about here, is the imprinted energy from the moment of our birth. Newton's third law: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Whether you're born at 10 in the morning or 10 p.m., for every input, there's an equal and opposite output. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The energetic waves in the universe change. If you pop out at 10 in the morning or you pop out at 10 at night, that's a different action which will cause a different reaction, a different ripple through the universe. And so you can gather insight into that role you're meant to fulfill through that foundational layer of karma. That's our birth chart. That is the signs that the planets are in at the moment of our first breath. That is what house are these signs occupying, and that by default, what planets are in what houses and what signs in our birth chart. Gives us information, our Mahadashas, Antardashas, the planetary periods and transits that we're going to experience throughout our lifetime. This is all laid out for us from that foundational viewpoint in our birth chart. And so that gives us insight into that role we're supposed to fulfill. As we fulfill that role, if we do it authentically, we are bringing value to people on the other side. So here's an example. We are moving into horse year. 2026, we will be in Chinese astrology moving into horse year. If you are born in the rat year, so you're born in like 1996, 1984, 2008, 1972, if you're born in a rat year, you're very analytical. Excuse me. The rat is very analytical. It's very heady energy. It's analyzing information, processing information, and then it makes a decision with pinpoint accuracy in how it utilizes its energy. The horse, on the other hand, is all about forward momentum. It's action, it's drive, it's get up and go. You're just work, make progress. You're stumbling, you just got all this energy and it just wants to drive somewhere. Those are opposites. And so this is also why you'll see people call these two energies, you'll see people describe energies as enemy energies, bad energies. 3s and 4s shouldn't get together. 3 and 4 create 7. It's a very learning energy that tends to learn through loss, hardship, challenge, obstacles, isolation, all of this type of dynamic. The rat and the horse, if you think of the rat is moving 100% perfectly north, like on a compass, the horse would be moving 100% perfectly south. They are the most opposite ways of moving. Like I described, the rat's very analytical and precise. The horse has overflowing energy and just volume of work will get it done. And so the rat needs the horse person to kick them into gear and say, hey man, get out of your head and start making things happen. The horse needs the rat to say, hey man, half the things you're doing are a complete waste of time because they're not moving you in the right direction. These two people need each other. You need the aggressive person. You need the calm, passive person. You need the optimist and you need the pessimist. So there's no reason to try to change your authentic energy. Here's another example. Earlier last year in the community, we had a family who the father was trying to teach their sons about how to, because now I think they were high school and I think the other one was last year middle school or was just getting into first year of high school. Now I don't remember. But we had a late high schooler in either last year of middle school or first year of high school for the younger child. And dad wanted to be an example and get his boys, because they're both boys, get his boys to start investing. It was going to do so by example. With that said, previously had lost tons of money in the market and was hesitant on how the best way to approach this would be. And from a family astrological perspective, the question how we got into this was, how do I get my boys to actually, like, what's the best way to present this information to them so that they believe, trust, and respect that I am looking out for their best interest? Because they have had issues in the past. And so mainly with sports, dad, I believe minor league professional sports or was actual professional sport for just a couple years. But so wasn't, the sports wasn't to dad's career, but he did have enough experience in there to say, hey, this is what you have to do, XYZ, if you want to go and play in college or have a chance to play pro. Kid didn't listen, and it was the approach, trying to say and trying to tell the way their family dynamic is they have to see it first. They see it and then they believe it. See first, then believe. Show, don't tell type of deal for both of them. Mom, on the other hand, the way she ties in energetically, she can tell. She can tell. The boys don't need to see her do it. They listen to her, say it. I believe you. I will apply it myself and test. Dad was the opposite because of the way their dynamic was. The whole point was, the reason dad had done so poorly in the market before is because energetically the role he's meant to fulfill is the backstop. He earns through other people's losses. He prevents people from falling through the floor. That is his role for society. And so I told him, I'm like, well, energetically, the way you were investing before is the exact opposite of how you're naturally supposed to fulfill your role for the universe. And so instead, every time, it's like, all right, bro, every time the market starts dipping, whatever couple of stocks he had, every time that thing takes a 5-10% correction, just buy as much as you can at the moment. You're just going to be that backstop. You're just going to stop the fall. Even though you, as an individual, one person, are not going to prevent the entire stock price from moving down another few bucks, you can energetically fulfill your role by putting money in as it begins to fall. You don't need to worry about catching a falling knife or anything like that, because that is the role that you are supposed to fulfill. So the better you fulfill that role, the better your day-to-day experiences will be when it comes to stress, everything else. Because now you're naturally in your homeostasis. You're naturally in the energetic ring, frequency, vibrate, whatever state, whatever words you want to use to describe that sensation. You are where you are supposed to be. You are in alignment, I guess you would say. And so, sure enough, throughout this entire year, that's what Dad did. Not only did he make back every single thing he had lost his entire time in the market up to this point in time, they made I think he ended up walking away with like 20 grand or something on the year, which is fantastic for being in the hole tens of thousands of dollars lifetime. You made tens of thousands back, cleared out your lifetime to now your positive lifetime, and you walked away with cash this year. Fantastic. The sons do not necessarily invest the same way, though. That's not how he's more of a spray and pray. His chart, his energetic disposition is more of a spray and pray. The other one is like basically going to be just index funds, ETFs, metal, just big, don't think about it. What are they called? Not cost basis, average cost in, dollar cost average in, and don't think about it. So that every single one of the three that are doing the investing, they all had three different energetic dispositions for how they can fulfill their role in the market. And so the entire point, now we're getting all off track, and this thing's getting way longer than I wanted it to. The entire point is we all have an energetic role to fulfill. The more authentically we analyze, process, and express the information we have, the emotions we have, the sensations we have, and share them with others, the more we are aligned with and ultimately fulfilling our karmic destiny. And when the universe gives us hardships, challenges, obstacles, barriers, these are opportunities for us to learn lessons that refine us and move us closer to being in alignment with that karmic destiny, so that we can fulfill the role we're meant to fulfill in this lifetime for the universe as a whole. And so if you like long, super technical, well-researched, in-depth essays, make them, read them, dive in deep. That is the role you are fulfilling. If you like to synthesize a ton of information, put together a couple of punchy lines and keep it moving, that is exactly what you are supposed to do. Because when we fulfill our role, we help provide value to others who are fulfilling theirs. Just like I mentioned, we need people who are perpetually optimistic so that we have the inspiration to make an attempt. We also need those people who are perpetual pessimists to help keep us grounded in reality. And now wisdom comes by being able to know which circumstance requires which viewpoint. And this is where the best leaders, the best group managers shine. We need the optimistic approach moving through these next 2 months. 2 months later, we need a little bit more pessimism in here because we're getting a little high on our horse. And so you need all of them. Everyone's here to fulfill their role. To bring this full circle, when my community member had their post deleted from that other community because it was too long of a post, and the community owner said, nobody in here wants to read those long posts, that is not a bad thing. It simply means in that environment, in that domain, they don't want your energy, which is fine. That's their option. That's their prerogative. That doesn't mean what you are doing is wrong. You simply continue to authentically express yourself in the way that you desire, and you will find the people over time who want that, need that, require it, love it. But you also have to be careful, because this will happen long term, taken to its natural extreme. If you love long posts and you only are in long posts and you're only reading essays, you only do that long stuff, you're never getting the benefit of being forced to refine and cut things down. I think it was it Mark Twain, or it was one of these old school writers. They have a real cool quote that says, "I didn't have the time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you this long one instead." And so that gives you a little bit of insight. It's like, my community member who really, really likes this long post. The post was fantastic. I read it. I said, send it to me. I want to see how long. It really wasn't that long. It was maybe a legitimate 3-minute read if you put a timer on and you read through it and you took your time to actually understand what they're saying. It was maybe a 3-minute read. It's like, that's not long. Because I'm more of a long poster myself. As you can tell with these podcasts, they all end up going 15, 20 minutes, even though this one was planned on only being like 5. I enjoy going deep. I enjoy being in depth. And so at the same time, there was some fluff in there. So I thought to myself, I said, if you did hang out in this community and you did spend an extra 45 minutes to rewrite that post and condense it so that it would be acceptable in the community, you might refine that idea. You might learn something through that process. And so even though they ultimately said, okay, that's fine, I'm going to take this information, I'm going to go share it elsewhere, I don't feel welcome in there. It's like, that's fine. You don't need to go back. It doesn't make that community or that community owner a bad person. Is kind of the whole point. It doesn't make them a bad person. You are, by refusing to acknowledge what the other side, leaving lessons and experiences on the table that will come back in the future. And so you either learn that lesson now or you learn it in the future with interest. But either way, the debt gets paid. Saturn's ring ensures there is no escaping the lessons you are meant to learn in this lifetime. You either learn the lesson now and you pay off that lesson now, that karmic lesson now, or you will, there is no escaping it, you will pay that lesson in the future with interest. Here's a quick story to wrap that thing up, and then I'm going to end this. And it's going to be a little bit off topic. When I was in my mid-20s, I spent 2 years as the daily in-home hospice caretaker for my 100% bed-bound grandfather. He couldn't eat on his own, couldn't go to his bath, he couldn't do anything on his own because he was completely stuck in bed. He had a stroke that required emergency brain surgery. He had a brain bleed, all kinds of stuff, right? And so we got him into the house, and for 2 years, I was the daily caretaker. Wake up, meds, breakfast, diaper change, meds, lunch, diaper change in the afternoon, dinner time, head to bed. Like, we had to do everything. And leading up to that, there were years. And I love my grandfather. That experience was one of the best gifts he had ever given me. In the moment, it was the most emotionally challenging and craziest couple years of my entire life. I had just started this kinesiology business. I have international clients over in Poland and Italy, so my clients here in the United States. So it was insane time of my life. And then he has this happen. He has this stroke, that thing, and now my business is just starting to grow. And now I have him to take care of all day long, every single day. And on hospice, you don't get breaks. It's like Saturday, he pooped. He needs a diaper change because he can't sit and poop. Sunday comes, he pooped. He needs a diaper change. Monday comes, he pooped. He needs a diaper change. Tuesday comes, he pooped twice. He needs 2 diapers. Like, you don't get to not do it when you're living in hospice and dealing with the hospice experience. And so that experience is something that I absolutely had to have, and it was the greatest gift he ever could have given me. With that said, for years leading up to that, everyone in the family, me, my brother, parents, everybody in the family, friends, everybody, were like, dude, you gotta start walking. You gotta start moving. You gotta start taking your health more serious. He was putting on some weight. He was slowing down. He wasn't walking to the mailbox anymore. He was getting in the car, driving freaking, literally driving, what is that, 4 or 5 houses down the street to go to the mailbox, and then drive right back up. It's like, you could walk, man. But he wasn't. He resisted. He refused to pay down that debt. So instead of paying down that health debt, right there in those mid-2010s, 2015, 2016, instead of paying down that debt then, he put it off. Saturn, with its ring, there is no escaping the lessons you're meant to learn. As a result, the debt that he had to pay was still there, and now there was interest tacked on. So the debt plus interest meant you're going to spend the last 2 years of your life completely bedbound, sitting in bed, laying in bed. But he did do a good enough job that he had the support system required to prevent him from having bed sores. Didn't get a single bed sore for those 2 years. Didn't have any horrible necrotic things happen with skin. Nothing like that. And so, great shape for 2 years. Could have continued to live, but karmically, his window was over. All of the lessons he needed to teach myself were stamped into the book, and he paid down that debt with the interest of the 2 years laying in bed, having to think about, man, maybe I should have just walked to the mailbox every day and might not have been here. Or might not have ended this way. Either way, no matter what you would prefer, there is no escaping the lessons we are meant to learn in this lifetime. And so we kind of got off track there at the end. I want to tie this whole thing together. We all have a role to fulfill for the universe as a whole. The more authentically we process and express information, share it with others, the more value we bring to the world as a whole. And so, if you've made it this far, I genuinely appreciate you for listening. If you have any questions, you can always send me an email, tristan@realoccult.com. You can check out our free school community, skool.com/realoccult. It's completely free. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm working with families and kids all day long, helping parents eliminate stress. Things like, what sport should I put my kid in? Because I don't want to spend all of this money doing this activity that they might not be likely to continue. We have that question all the time. We've had parents with older kids who are super into sports and athletics and stuff. I just use sports because I grew up playing hockey, and then playing hockey, football, baseball, and then went to go on and play hockey in college. So I grew up in that sports type of environment. My grandfather played professional baseball. My dad played sports in college, like sports family for sure. And so we've had a very common question of like, my older child or my older kids are super into sports. My young child wants nothing to do with it. I'm trying to force them into it. They hate it. And now this is creating strain and pressure on our relationship. What can I do? And it's like, oh, yes, you're right in identifying absolutely your kid wants to work with his hands. It's just not going to be through sport. He's an artist. He's going to be wanting to work with clay or molding stuff or photography. He wants to be tactile in the universe. And once you make that change, it's like, holy moly, we now have an activity, whatever the circumstances are. And so, whole point, I'm working with families and kids all day long. If you have any questions, I am more than happy to help you however I can. The universe truly, genuinely wants you to win. This is February 14th, 2026, Karmic Change Day. We got a 17 life path, 14-day energy, and it is Saturn-ruled Saturn. There's no escaping Saturn's ring. And so the universe is on your side. It wants you to win. We simply have to learn the lessons we're meant to learn in this lifetime one way or another. The sooner we learn them, the sooner we get to move on. The longer we put off learning that lesson, we're still going to have to pay that debt. And if we keep pushing off, we're going to have to pay that debt with interest. And the interest that we pay the universe is almost always pain, hardship, challenge, barriers, obstacles, emotional volatility. Like, we have to give energy, and it's usually being extracted from us through pain, hardship, isolation, loneliness, mistakes, emotional volatility, feeling horrible, all of these things, so that we are put into a position that forces us to change. If we open up our intuition a little bit and listen to the subtle signs, we can learn our lessons faster and not have to pay so much interest to the universe. For Newton's third law, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So we put it off, interest goes up. We handle it now, make the hard changes now. We don't have to pay that interest. We don't have to pay the universe with so much pain, hardship, challenge, all that stuff. All right. That's all I've got for you today. If you made it this far, I genuinely appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you again soon.